When I was 12, I went on a cruise on the Carnival Pride with my parents and my sister. I remember seeing a huge display board in one of the stairwell lobbies advertising a talk on acupuncture that would take place in the Orpheum Theater downstairs to promote the services in the spa, and thinking to myself, who would voluntarily allow themselves to get pricked by needles? I, for one, can barely get a shot without tearing up, and my roommate had to hold my hand during my TB test, so that should tell you how my experience with needles goes. That was the first and the last time that peculiar practice ever really crossed my mind, until recently when my roommate was telling me how she received acupuncture in high school for a back injury. Does this even work, or is it just a myth? I wondered to myself. Well, I wanted to find out, and after doing research, I found that there's actually a fair amount of evidence that acupuncture is effective in certain situations. Today, I'd like to introduce you to acupuncture's origins, the actual methodology of the procedure itself, and the results that medical professionals have been able to create through it. Acupuncture originates back thousands of years to early Chinese medicine. The Encyclopedia of Modern Medicine explains its origins, saying that legend has it that acupuncture developed when early Chinese physicians observed unpredicted effects of small puncture wounds in Chinese warriors. The concept comes from the Chinese views of energy within the universe. Yin and yang are opposites and complement each other, and they need to be kept in balance throughout the body. Qi is life energy, an invisible force that flows within us that must be kept at a constant flowing tempo. Now, the 12 main organs are connected through these things called meridians that you can see on the picture on the right. Each organ resembles a characteristic of the 5 elements: wood, water, air, fire, and metal. So if you have, for an example, a problem with your heart, they would consider that a fire issue, and you would get acupuncture near your kidneys because that correlates to water. A weakness in the body's energy is what allows sickness to occur in the first place, not the presence of germs. Acupuncture was a solely Asian concept for the most part until 1972, when President Nixon visited China. As the Encyclopedia of Modern China says, his team was amazed to see entire operations performed with acupuncture as the only form of anesthesia. Then James Reston, a New York Times writer who traveled with them, had to have an emergency appendectomy while abroad. He was operated using only acupuncture to numb him, and it went swimmingly. He raved about it later in his New York Times article, which drew attention to it back home in the States. Slowly, the practice began to popularize across the oceans. Now that the practice was willing to be performed overseas, professionals had to gradually learn what it was all about. The acupuncture procedure is very simple and taps into both scientific and more abstract methods of healing. According to the Encyclopedia of Modern Medicine, an acupuncturist will first meet with their client to figure out what their issues are, dealing with their medical history and their personal lifestyle so they can see where the tension lies. During the simple procedure, they insert thin metal needles into the meridians. There are over 2,000 spots where they can do this, though only 200 are the most common. There's now more varieties of this too, where they can insert it into different points in your ears or your fingers or things like that. Up to 20 needles are typically used per session. Most needles only have to be pushed in below the surface, but sometimes they have to be pushed in 1 to 3 inches. Some are stimulated by electricity and others are just stimulated by hand. Participants typically feel minimal to no pain at all during the needle insertion. Acupuncture is a fairly easy and nearly pain-free experience, but the real question is, why do people even undergo it, and is it really that beneficial? Well, research has provided some evidence that under certain health situations, individuals can benefit from acupuncture. The National Institute of Health, or NIH, claims there is sufficient evidence of acupuncture's value to expand its use into conventional medicine and to encourage further studies of its physiology and clinical nature. One theory suggests that it promotes production of cortisol, a type of natural painkiller. Others suggest that it stimulates chemicals in the body or stimulates the release of neurotransmitters in the brain, helping to block out pain. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration in the 1990s finally took acupuncture needles off of their experimental medical devices list after reviewing official studies on them, and now distribute and regulate them just as they would syringes and other common medical tools. The St. James Encyclopedia of Popular Culture also notes that acupuncture is shown to alleviate pain in post-dental surgery recovery, chemotherapy treatment cause nausea, headaches, etc. It's also used to help combat addictions. Very few adverse effects are ever noticed, and the only ones are typically in rare occasions where acupuncture needles weren't sterilized completely before being used, or if an unlicensed person tries to perform the procedure, obviously that could result in issues like internal organs being damaged. As a young girl on a cruise ship, I never really imagined that acupuncture, a seemingly painful and voodoo-style myth, would ever have any benefit. But after taking a closer look at its Chinese origins, the actual procedure itself, and its surprisingly positive feedback, I suppose taking a couple pricks to the skin really could help balance things out once and for all.
For as long as I can remember, music has been a part of my life. Who turns on music as soon as they get into their car or back to their room? I know I do. With so many genres out there, everyone can find their own specific style of music that we love and connect with the most. People have music for when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're angry, or just when they feel like dancing. We all have our own specific playlists that we use for road trips or for studying. No matter what we are looking for, it is fairly easy to find a music that we can relate to. One of the main reasons people enjoy music so much is because it holds an influence over us. There are 4 main influences that I found: the physiological effects, the emotional effects, cognitive effects, and behavioral effects. First, let's look at the physiological effects. Music has been shown to calm the body and relax the mind. When we're doing yoga, we often listen to nature music or calming music because it's peaceful and it's very soothing. While we're working out, we listen to upbeat or fast tempo music that excites us and motivates us. A study done at Brigham Young University found many other physiological effects. It has the ability to increase or decrease our heart rate. Fast, upbeat music can increase our heart rate, while slow and relaxing music decreases it. It can increase our skin temperature, and it decreases our skin resistance to arousal. It also decreases our breathing rate. People are able to achieve many physiological effects caused by music, and we often use it to manipulate how we respond to things. Secondly, let's look at the emotional effects. We listen to music to change how we feel or to manipulate our mood. New York counselor Nathan Fields wrote that we tend to listen to music that reflects our mood. When we are happy, we listen to happy music. When we are sad, we may listen to slower, moving songs. And when we're angry, we may listen to darker music with heavy guitar, drum, and vocals that reflect our level of anger. A study done at Johns Hopkins found that happy, fast music will increase your positivity, and it reduces levels of stress and anxiety. Your brain releases endorphins that allow euphoria when we listen to happy, upbeat music. For example, Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. Not everybody's favorite song, but when you listen to it, most everybody knows the words. And for people who do like it, it increases these feelings of euphoria. Also, but when you're watching TV and the Sarah McLachlan commercial comes on and In the Arms of an Angel starts playing, we get sad. So we either press mute or change the channel. Music also has the ability to bring back powerful memories. We use music to relate to a specific time or place. We choose to listen to a song that was our grandma's favorite song because she's passed away, and we use it to connect to her. Or we still can't listen to that song that was our song with an old love. Music has the ability to bring back many emotional effects on us, and we use it every day. Next, let's look at the cognitive effects. A newer area of research is how music affects us cognitively, and especially when we're learning. David Francis, the author of The Powerful Role of Music in Society, has noted many effects that music has on our cognition. He's found that it's very beneficial in fetuses and young infants, and it has a healthy development of communication skills. and it's helped improve many, it's had many effects in the learning areas. While there's no direct link between music and intelligence, it does help with focusing, concentration, it increases our attention, and improves our memory. A study at Johns Hopkins found that creativity and imagination are improved while listening to music, and it promotes problem solving, goal setting, and it helps with brainstorming. Another effect that is found cognitively is that it helps promote our social skills, and it has a hand in increasing self-esteem. The next area that it helps with is behavioral. There are many behavioral aspects that are linked to music, and the above topics of physiological, emotional, and cognitive all link together to help form behavioral. Music shows a link between consumer habits and how we choose to manipulate our moods. We use music in behavior by association. When we hear a commercial with a jingle on it, we associate that with the song. Every time we hear the song, we think of the item, we want to buy it. We also use it to manipulate our mood. When we're sad, we listen to sad songs, or we can listen to happy songs to change our moods. When we're bored or there's just silence, we turn on music because it helps to fill that space. Restaurants also play low music, and you hear it often in public places because it helps us in how we behave in public, and it's an easy go-to in social situations. Music is a constant in almost everybody's life. The average teenager listens to about 2.5 hours of music a day. Researchers at the University of Groningen found that music opens up a whole new way for us to perceive the world. And along with all the effects of the physiological, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral, music really does influence how we think.